You ever drive through a small American town and wonder, where is everybody? The roads are paved, the schools are standing, the houses still have mailboxes, but there's no life. No sound, just stillness. Welcome to the new reality of 2025, where entire U.S. states are being quietly emptied out, not by war, not by disaster, but by choice. Families packing U-Hauls, seniors cashing out, young professionals chasing dreams elsewhere. And here's the twist. Many of these states were once booming with industry, culture, and promise. Today, they're watching their communities vanish. In this video, we uncover 10 U.S. states Americans are abandoning at record speed, and the reasons might surprise you. From unbearable housing prices to collapsing infrastructure, this is where the American dream is running on empty. Number 1. New York. You picture New York as a never-sleeping powerhouse. Subways buzzing, skyscrapers glinting, life at full speed, but that's the postcard version. The reality? Many are walking away. Between 2020 and 2024, New York lost over 336,000 residents, the second largest decline of any state. From July 2023 to July 2024 alone, the state gained 129,881 people, but only because of immigration. Peel back the surface, and you find a mass domestic exodus. Why? First, the cost. A one-bedroom apartment in New York City now averages $3,900 per month. Property taxes, utilities, and groceries all rank among the highest in the country. And for those living outside the metro bubble, the economic picture is worse. Small cities like Utica and Elmira have lost over 10% of their population, schools are consolidating, and hospitals are facing severe staff shortages. The upstate brain drain is real. Young families, teachers, and skilled workers are heading to cheaper states. And here's the kicker. Even the suburban dream is fading. Long Island's iconic neighborhoods are facing property sell-offs as taxes outpace wages. New York still welcomes immigrants and students from abroad, but it's bleeding its own people from the inside. So ask yourself, can a state survive when its own citizens no longer want to stay? Number 2. California. Palm trees, movie stars, tech billionaires, that's the California myth. But drive past the glitzy billboards and you'll see something else. Tents lining sidewalks, storefronts shuttered, entire neighborhoods in retreat. In 2023 alone, over 75,000 Californians left the state. And this isn't just a COVID hangover, it's an ongoing collapse of affordability. The median home price in California is now $833,000, more than twice the national average. Renters are drowning and buyers are priced out. But it's not just the money. California ranks first in homelessness with over 180,000 people living unhoused, many in makeshift encampments, even in wealthy cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. What's more alarming? Middle-class flight. Teachers, police officers, even nurses, the backbone of any community, are heading to states like Texas, Arizona, and Idaho, where homeownership is still within reach. And natural disasters? They're now part of the lifestyle. From raging wildfires in the north to devastating floods in the south, the climate bill is coming due. And insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Yes, California still fuels Hollywood and Silicon Valley, but the average working family is being squeezed out. Ask yourself, can a state really be a dreamland when living there feels like survival? Number 3. Illinois. You imagine Illinois and think of Chicago's skyline, deep dish pizza, and hardworking Midwestern spirit. But travel beyond the city limits and you'll find a different picture. One of shrinking towns, crumbling roads, and front porches left behind. From 2023 to 2024, Illinois technically grew, gaining 0.54% in total population, reaching 12.71 million residents. Sounds good, right? But look closer. 64 out of 102 counties actually lost people. That gain? It's only because of international immigration. Without it, the state would be shrinking fast. So why are native Illinoisans leaving? One word: taxes. Illinois has some of the highest property taxes in the United States, averaging over 2.2% of home value annually. Combine that with aging infrastructure, underfunded schools, and rising urban crime, and people are fleeing to nearby states like Indiana, Missouri, and Tennessee. And while Chicago attracts global talent, rural towns are hollowing out, farm jobs are vanishing, main streets are boarded up, and public services are stretched thin. Illinois isn't just losing people, it's losing hope. So here's the question. Can a state survive when its growth depends solely on people coming in, while its own residents run for the border? Number 4, Louisiana, jazz in the French Quarter, Cajun food in the bayou. Louisiana is rich in culture, but culturally rich doesn't mean economically stable. Beneath the rhythm lies a storm of problems. Between July 2023 and July 2024, Louisiana's population inched up just 0.21%, barely scraping to 4.59 million residents. But, that slight growth hides a major red flag. Nearly 30,000 residents moved out to other states, making Louisiana one of the worst performers in net domestic migration. What's driving this exodus? Well, first, the natural disasters. Hurricanes, flooding, and coastal erosion are turning homes into ruins, faster than they can be rebuilt. FEMA maps show that by 2050, Louisiana could lose over 2,250 square miles to rising seas. But it's not just climate. Louisiana is also one of the poorest states in the country, with nearly 1 in 5 residents living in poverty. Rural hospitals are closing, schools are consolidating, and job growth outside of Baton Rouge and New Orleans is stagnant. Even the unique culture can't hold people in place. Small towns that once came alive during Mardi Gras are now quiet, year-round. And here's the painful irony. While international arrivals grow, the very people who built Louisiana's identity are the ones being pushed out. Ask yourself, can culture survive when the communities who created it are forced to leave? Number 5, Connecticut. You picture sailboats and mystic ivy-covered campuses and charming colonial homes, but Connecticut in 2025 is more about for sale signs than weekend serenity. Between July 2023 and July 2024, Connecticut's population grew by 32,046, hitting roughly 3.65 million. But dig deeper, over 6,000 residents left the state in that same period, and that international migration was the only reason numbers went up. So why are lifelong Connecticuters packing their bags? Start with the taxes, some of the highest property taxes in the nation, and the cost of living that outpaces income growth. A $10,000 property tax bill on a modest home isn't uncommon, especially in suburban towns. And while the state boasts elite universities like Yale, the brainpower often leaves after graduation. Many young adults head to states with lower taxes, better job markets, and cheaper housing, places like Massachusetts or Florida. Meanwhile, schools in rural areas are merging. Hospitals are downsizing, and once thriving small towns are becoming shadows of themselves. It's a quiet erosion. Not dramatic, but undeniable. Ask yourself, can a state that once drew people in with opportunity now keep its own people from leaving? Number 6, New Mexico. Desert sunsets, ancient pueblos, and rich Native American heritage. But New Mexico's beauty masks something more troubling, a silent outflow of its own people. Between July 2023 and July 2024, New Mexico's population rose by just 15,885, reaching about 2.13 million, a modest 0.75% increase. But that growth hides the fact that domestic outmigration is rising again. People are leaving, and those leaving are often wealthier than those arriving. IRS data shows that outgoing households earned more on average than those moving in, meaning the state's economic engine is slowly sputtering. Why? For starters, New Mexico is the third poorest state in America. Nearly 1 in 5 residents live below the poverty line, and median household income is well below the national average. Rural counties are struggling with underfunded schools, healthcare deserts, and little to no economic development. Even Albuquerque, the state's urban hub, is seeing housing prices outpace wages, forcing families to relocate. Yes, New Mexico has had major wins, like its free childcare initiative that lifted 120,000 people above the poverty line. But it can't reverse the outmigration overnight. Tourism, oil, and gas just aren't enough anymore. Ask yourself this, can enchantment alone hold people when jobs, wages, and hope feel so far away? Number 7, Alaska. You dreamed of pristine wilderness, northern lights, and freedom under the midnight sun, but in 2025, Alaska feels more like the last frontier of exodus than exploration. The population on July 1, 2024, ticked up to 741,147, a small 0.31% increase. But don't be fooled. Since 2012, more people have left Alaska than arrived. Last year alone, over 1,100 residents moved out. And the only thing masking this loss was natural population growth and international arrivals. Why are Alaskans fleeing? Start with the basics. Isolation, extreme weather, and sky-high living costs. Fuel is more expensive, groceries can cost double the national average, and a doctor's appointment might require a flight, not a drive. Add in an unstable economy built on boom and bust oil cycles, and you have a recipe for uncertainty. And now, with climate change melting permafrost and damaging roads and homes, even basic infrastructure is starting to crack. Villages are relocating, schools are consolidating, power outages are more frequent. Even Anchorage, the state's urban anchor, can't escape six-figure housing prices and a labor shortage in essential services. Ask yourself, when survival starts costing more than it's worth, is adventure still enough to stay? Number 8, New York. You imagine yellow cabs, Wall Street rush, and the energy of Times Square. But look closer in 2025 and you'll find entire neighborhoods hollowed out, especially beyond the 5 boroughs. New York's population jumped by 129,881 between July 2023 and July 2024, a 0.7% increase, largely thanks to asylum seekers, students, and international migrants. But the full story? Since the 2020 census, New York has lost over 336,000 residents, a 1.7% drop overall. Domestic outmigration is bleeding the state dry, especially in upstate towns like Utica and Elmira, which saw double-digit losses. Why are people leaving? Start with rent. An average one-bedroom in NYC costs nearly $4,000 a month. Add state income taxes, rising crime perceptions, and a fractured school system, and you have families looking west and south for affordability. Even posh suburbs like Long Island are seeing residents cash out and flee to lower-cost states. Upstate, the decline is more visible. Shuttered malls, empty hospitals, and crumbling infrastructure paint a sobering picture. Yes, immigrants are keeping the headcount afloat. But here's the question. Can a state survive when its longtime residents are replaced, not retained? New York might still be the city that never sleeps, but for many towns and cities across the state, the lights are fading. Number 9. Hawaii. You picture crystal waters, luau's under moonlight, and that sweet aloha spirit. But in 2025, even paradise is leaking residents. Between July 2023 and July 2024, Hawaii's population crept up by just 4,759, reaching 1,446,146. Yet it's still over 9,000 below its 2020 peak. Why? Because for every newcomer landing at Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, more longtime locals are quietly leaving. Each day, about 33 people arrive from overseas, while 26 leave for other U.S. states. The culprit? Cost of living. Hawaii ranks among the most expensive states in America. Rent consumes 60% of the average paycheck. Groceries, gas, and even electricity cost more here than almost anywhere else. Add that to low wages outside the tourism industry, and you've got a recipe for exodus. Even wildfires in Maui displaced thousands in 2023, pushing families toward mainland states like Nevada or Arizona, ironically to face new climate threats. Meanwhile, coastal erosion and rising seas are forcing home insurance premiums to spike, driving even more residents inland or off-island. Sure, some remote workers move in for paradise, but ask yourself, what happens to paradise when the people who made it home can no longer afford to stay? Number 10. Rhode Island. You imagine sailboats, colonial charm, and lobster rolls by the pier. But in 2025, even America's smallest state is struggling to hold its own. Rhode Island's population is 1,098,082, a number that looks stable on the surface, but beneath it, a steady stream of domestic outmigration. The problem isn't beauty, it's economics. High housing prices, stagnant wages, and limited job opportunities are sending Rhode Islanders packing. Even in picturesque towns like Newport or Bristol, for sale signs linger, and young families are skipping state lines to Massachusetts or New Hampshire. The graduation rate is solid, around 87%, but many college grads immediately leave for better-paying cities elsewhere. It's a brain drain, and it's accelerating. While international migrants are helping plug the population gap, they can't solve the deeper issue, a shrinking middle class and aging communities. Schools are consolidating, rural clinics are closing, and in many once bustling coastal towns, there's a creeping silence as old neighbors vanish and homes go dark for good. Ask yourself, can charm and history outweigh affordability and opportunity? In 2025, Rhode Island's quaint appeal might not be enough to anchor the next generation. You've seen the towns with empty schools, shuttered shops, and highways leading only one way, out. These aren't just statistics, they're silent alarms echoing across America. As families chase stability, affordability, and hope elsewhere, we must ask, who gets left behind? From coast to coast, a quiet exodus is underway. But in that silence, there's also opportunity for rebuilding, for reform, and for reimagining what community really means. Which state do you think is next to face the tipping point? Tell us in the comments, and if you found this video eye-opening, hit that like, subscribe, and share button, because this is the kind of truth most people never hear but everyone deserves to know.